I'm in the middle of a job interview, and I lean my chair back a little, and I notice there's some rocks around my feet. And the woman sitting across from me says, "Oh, don't worry about that. You'll get used to it. In fact, in a week, that'll be normal." See, I wasn't interviewing for a job in your typical office environment, in a place with walls and windows and plants. I was interviewing deep inside the earth, in an old limestone mine. I got the job, and I took it. Not because it was my dream job, no, but because it was better than where I was working and it paid more. My dream job, though, I always wanted to be an artist, a great artist. I thought I'll be traveling the world wearing cool outfits, shaking hands with people, and filling the world with color, bright color. But unfortunately, there's no job listing in the local newspaper for a world-famous traveling artist. So for now, I'm headed to the mines. And this facility is difficult to find. There's no signs that advertise it. In fact, most people don't know it exists. My only clue as I'm driving there is that in the middle of nowhere, a parking lot appears. And before I can even get close to the mountain, I'm greeted by men with large guns, who every morning frisk me down, which I low-key enjoy. And then I descend until I am swallowed by the mouth of the mountain. And I walk past unmarked door after unmarked door after another unmarked door until I'm in my workstation. And there's rocks everywhere. There's rocks on the ground, there's rocks beside me, there's rocks above me, and they're painted white, like bright, shiny, sparkly white. It almost reminds me of Superman's lair, although I don't feel like a hero. I feel very foreign, very alien. And as I'm looking around this cave, I'm thinking, God, how did I end up here? I used to have dreams, big dreams. And now I'm sitting in a cave in the middle of nowhere, organizing files. What wrong turn did I take? Was it one big mistake I made? Or was it a series of small mistakes that led me to literally hitting rock bottom? And as I'm looking around, I see two men with hard hats, and they have long sticks, and they're poking the ceiling. And this guy comes up to me, he's like, "Hey, you must be the new girl." I'm like, "Yeah, what are those men doing?" He's like, "Oh, they're checking for loose rocks. Don't worry, they keep us safe." In this exact moment, I developed a new fear. A fear of what is above. Because suddenly I became very cognizant that there are literally thousands upon thousands of tons of rocks looming over my head that apparently might be loose. She said this would be normal. She said I would get used to this. This doesn't feel normal. Also in that same moment, I made my first friend. His name was Alex, and he had been underground for quite some time. We became fast friends. He was around my age, kind of cool, kind of artsy. And to put this place into perspective, this place is massive. It's over 1,000 acres, and it's just a labyrinth of tunnels that seem to have no beginning and no end. And all day long, men and little golf carts zip around with hard hats and lights. There's a cafeteria down there, there's fire trucks, there's a coffee shop. Thank God there's a coffee shop. And Alex and I start taking breaks together, and he knew about my fear of above. He called it my healthy fear. So to distract me, he would often tell me stories, secrets of the underground. He would say things to me like, "Don't you want to know what's behind those unmarked doors? Where do you think the rich and the powerful plan to go when the world turns to shit? Nuclear attack, zombie apocalypse. They have bunkers here. And where do you think they store the body of those little green men? here? And why do you think it's always so cold down here? It's because there's a massive underground lake filled with blind fish. Now, whether any of these stories were true or not didn't really matter, because what they did was they served as a really fun, fantastic distraction of my fear of above. And the way that I managed day to day was, well, simply by not looking up. And also I would often wear a hat, headphones, and I just pretended. I even had next to my workstation, I had a poster, which was a picture of a window looking out onto the ocean. And I pretended like things were normal. And I pretended until I couldn't pretend anymore. Because one day I came in and on my workstation there were rocks, which I immediately knew was my coworkers and they were messing with me. But it wasn't. It was my biggest fear coming true. The rocks were falling right above me. And the safety crew's solution was to take what looked like chicken wire, it was like this wire mesh, and they bolted it up to the ceiling. So I'm not a structural engineer, but if there's a battle between thousands of pounds of tons of rocks versus chicken wire, I'm pretty sure I'm going to die. I no longer felt safe, so I started applying for other jobs immediately, and I left the underground on a Friday and began working here in Alexandria on a Monday. And my new job doesn't just have a window, it has lots of windows, real windows. And while I might not be a world-famous traveling artist, not yet, I have had some success as an artist. I've painted in some prestigious places. And I've even had my work showcased at the Smithsonian. Thank you. And most importantly, I feel safe. I am above ground full time now. And that is a breath of fresh air.